Have you ever felt like you just can't let go of someone, even though you know they're not good for you? You've promised yourself countless times you'd walk away, but every time they call, every time you think of them, you're pulled right back in. What if I told you that's not love? It's an addiction. You know, addictions don't always look like alcohol, drugs, or gambling. Sometimes addictions take the form of a relationship, a magnetic, all consuming pull that keeps you locked in a cycle of chaos and comfort, longing and rejection. And the scariest part, we often mistake that pull for love. Trauma bonds thrive on intensity. They keep you hooked through emotional highs and lows, moments of connection and validation, followed by periods of rejection, conflict, or uncertainty. This push and pull dynamic creates a chemical rush in the brain, not unlike a drug high, making the relationship feel impossible to leave. Greg Braden talks about the Essene teachings and he talks about the addiction mirror. It's the idea that compulsive behaviors, whether it's drug, food, work, or even relationships, are rooted in a deeper void within us. We use these behaviors to soothe an unmet need, often without realizing it. In relationships, this addiction looks like chasing after someone who reminds you of past wounds, perhaps a parent who was emotionally unavailable or critical, and you mistake this familiar pain for love, thinking, if I can just make this person stay, it'll heal the hurt. But really, you're stuck in a cycle trying to fill an emotional void that they will never fix. Here's why bonds feel so much like love. They trigger the same emotional centers in your brain that real love does. The intense high floods you with dopamine and oxytocin, but the inevitable lows create anxiety and withdrawal. This keeps you chasing the next high, just like the other addiction. Ask yourself, are you in love with this person or with the idea of what you think they can give you? You see, a lot of times as women or feminine energy, we fall in love with the idea of someone and not their actual actions or how they behave. It's as if we put blinders on to their actions and just become so enamored with our idea of them, which is truly our own radiance. It isn't even them that we're enamored with, but the ideas that we project onto them. You know, most trauma bonds in reality are born from unresolved childhood wounds. If you grew up in a home where love was conditional, chaotic, or absent, your nervous system normalized that experience. So when you meet someone who mirrors that same dynamic, whether it's their emotional unavailability, their criticism, or their inconsistency, it just feels like home. You're not falling in love with them, you're falling back into a familiar pattern. The ego thrives on intensity and control. It convinces you that if you try harder, love more, or change yourself, you'll quickly earn their love. Like you'll finally do it. True love doesn't need to be earned. It's freely given, it's steady, and it's safe. Listen, if you feel like you're losing yourself trying to hold on to someone that's not love, that's ego clinging to an illusion of control. So how can I give you some practical steps? First things first, what would you do in this situation? Is recognize the pattern. The first step is always awareness. Ask yourself, does this relationship feel more like an emotional roller coaster than a steady partnership? Do you feel addicted to the highs and the lows? Second step, Identify the void. What need are you trying to fill with this person? Is it validation, safety, or a sense of being enough? Recognizing the void helps you understand what you're truly seeking. Third step, heal the wound. Trauma bonds can't be fixed by another person, can only be healed by you. This means doing the inner work, whether it's through therapy, inner child healing, or learning how to soothe. Fourth step, start seeking relationships that feel calm, supportive, and nurturing. You got to break the pattern and start choosing differently. I can't stress this enough. Once you realize there's a pattern, you've got to stop the behavior that is causing you all of this pain. It is a choice. It is a hard one, but it is something that needs to be done in order to break the cycle. Healthy love may feel boring at first because it's unfamiliar, but it's where true connection lives. Breaking free from trauma bonds is one of the most courageous things you can do. It's not easy to let go of the intensity and the addiction, but when you do, you open yourself to a love that feels safe, steady, and real. And most importantly, you reconnect with yourself. If this episode resonated with you, check out episode 30, where I dive deeper into healing attachment wounds and creating healthy love. And if you're ready to take the next step, visit me at bridgetoselfmastery.com to explore my coaching services or check out my guided breathwork series and check out some of the mini meditations that I have created to work on these specific wounds. If you start rewiring your brain, you will start thinking differently. You don't have to do this alone. I am truly here to guide you. Thank you for listening. As we wrap up today's episode, remember, trauma bonds can feel intoxicating and impossible to break free from, but they're not a reflection of true love. They are deeply ingrained emotional patterns that mirror unresolved childhood wounds, and they keep us trapped in unhealthy cycles. Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards healing, and breaking free from them allows you to open your heart to relationships that are grounded in safety, trust, and mutual respect. True love isn't about chaos, drama, or fixing wounds. It's about balance, support, and growth. Healing begins within, and as you do the inner work, you'll create space for relationships that nurture you and not drain you. If you found yourself in a trauma bond, know that healing is possible. It takes self-awareness, compassion, and the courage to break old patterns. Never forget, I'm here to support you every step of the way. Thank you again for joining me on this important conversation. Until next time, remember, you deserve love that heals, not love that hurts.